Hello everyone, welcome back, and now it's time we rank Season 3 Bernard the Bear episodes, and we're going to be doing that today. Now I did say 7 days ago I was going to do it the next day, but I'm doing it now because it's the weekend, so I'm going to be ranking all the Season 3 episodes, and now compared to the last two seasons, the difference for this one is that the music is, you can tell which this is a season 3 episode in my opinion, because I can just tell by Bernard's voice and the way the music sounds. And another reason I can tell is because the credits are like recorded on paper, whereas the last two are recorded like yellow. So yeah, so I accidentally added a couple episodes on here twice, so I added this new one here, which I named it Added Twice. So yeah, so starting off, we have our very first episode of the season, table tennis. So table tennis is actually a very good episode. I actually really like this one. It actually brings the season up greatly, which that's good, because usually because from what I remember, the last episode of the last season was a neutral episode. But yeah, that's good. So I'm going to put it in very nice, because I like this one. I obviously added this one twice. Aerobic. So this is one of those Bernard the Bear episodes where Eva and Bernard are like in the same area. There's like about a few episodes like this, but this is the first one. So Eva's... So in this one, Lloyd is basically playing table tennis with Bernard, and then he tries to trick Lloyd by not opening it, but then he opens it, and then they play table tennis. In this episode, basically, Eva's like doing aerobics, and then Bernard joins in, and I think Bernard starts annoying Eva, and then he gets fallen over and then the tower lands on him. That's what happens in the end. In my opinion, this is a very nice episode. I really like this one. Swimming is going in the best. It's easily one of my favourite episodes of Bernard the Bear. Basically, Bernard's swimming and Lloyd is there, and then eventually Lloyd is telling Bernard what to do, and then at the end he swims in the wrong area and then messes up the pool. It's very funny. Like, that's my favourite part of the whole episode. One of my favourite parts. And at one of my favourite parts is when Lloyd gives Bernard the float thing, or I think it's called a float, and then he thinks he's playing karate, so he smashes. That's my favourite. That's one of my favourite parts. Windsurfing. It's one of those other episodes when Bernard's on an island. Like, they have a few episodes like this. Like, they have Motorboat, Oasis, Desert Island, and windsurfing and volleyball. But this one, I think it's just a neutral episode. Zach is telling Bernard to go windsurfing, so he goes windsurfing, and then at the end he gets worn out, and then falls over. And because of I think it's because of what was it called? Oh yeah, a wave. But that's what happens. Journey to the Stadium. Journey to the Stadium is actually one of my favourite episodes of the whole season. Bernard is on Bernard is on an airplane with Lloyd, and then after that, when he arrives, he has to try and get through the ticket thing, but then he keeps doing it wrong, and then he gets through, but then he just... I can't remember what happens. I can't remember how to describe the ending. It's a very funny episode. I really like this one. Skiing. So I'm actually going skiing soon, in a couple of weeks' time. I'll talk about that one in a few weeks. But this episode is just very nice. Basically, Bernard's going skiing, and he keeps messing it up. So then when he puts it back in his room, he then messes it up, and then messes up the whole place. Now, it's okay. I would say it's a very nice episode. So yeah. Handball is going in one of my favourites. This used to be one of my favourites in the genre. Bernard is playing handball, and then there's these what do you call them? These objects, these people. There's yellow ones and there's red ones. they're like blocking him, and then in the end he gets trapped inside the net with these people, and then he rips the sticker mouth of the yellow one. That's very funny. At least I like that episode. Hammer throw. So I would say it's just a neutral episode in my opinion. But Lloyd is like doing the hammer throw, and then Bernard does it, and then I think he gets stuck, and then he uses it, but then he gets tangled in it. It's just an okay episode. I mean, that's the thing with season 3 episodes compared to season 1 and season 2. Like, I used to watch those season 1 and season 2 episodes all the time when I was younger, but season 3 there's just some episodes that I just can't remember that much. Badminton is an episode that I sort of forgot about. I would say it's another neutral episode. Bernard and Zach are playing badminton, and I think like Bernard and Zach are playing, but then Bernard gets on 20 and Zach keeps like moving it backwards, and then if butterflies there. I can't remember much. It's just a neutral episode in my opinion. Race walking is an interesting episode. The episode starts off with Bernard like at his house watching TV until Zach comes in to interfere and makes him like co-race walking. So then he goes race walking, and then they ended up like race walk like argumentatively. So it's a very nice episode. I like this one. I'd say it's in front of skiing and aerobics, but not as good as table tennis. Well, actually, yeah, I think it's just like these two episodes are like alright. I think they're both good episodes. Marathon Part 2. So Marathon Part 1 was in season 1, and it took about like there was no Marathon episodes in season 2, but then there's 2 in this season. So Marathon Part 2 is first. I like this episode. This is the in the best. Bernard wants some water, and then like Zach, Eva, and Lloyd keep taking it. So then in the end, instead of winning the race on the marathon, he gets some water tent and it drinks all the water. That's so funny. Fencing. So fencing kind of reminded me of the Kendo episode a little bit. I don't know why, but Bernard and Lloyd are playing fencing, and then I can't remember much. I just remember that they were playing fencing, and then like they were attached to strings, and then at the end Bernard ruined it. So this was the last Bernard the Bear episode I watched on Netflix when I was younger. And how I know, because I remember I used to watch Bernard the Bear all the time on Netflix, but then my dad started putting on Garfield show. I started watching that, but then after that, in the end, after watching Garfield show, I put a Bernard the Bear episode on, and this was the one it came up with. So this is Drone in the Best. I love this episode so much, and I'd probably say it's just above. It's above like Marathon Part 2. I like this one. Pelota Card, I would just say Pelota Card is just a very neutral episode, and it's thrown in it's probably the least neutral episode so far. Bernard is playing Pelota Card with like Lloyd, and then there's this cow that keeps blocking it, and then he eventually destroys the place in the end. Now, this was one episode about the cow, was the thing that I remembered the episode the most when I was younger. Skiing Part 2 is just another neutral episode. Like, Bernard is going skiing. Wait, what the? Hang on, was this? I actually forgot. I can't tell if this is the one when he's like on like the chair thing with Lloyd. I think one of them is doing it with Lloyd, but I think it's this one. I think he's doing skiing with Lloyd, and then he crashes. I can't tell if it was this one or snowboarding. I don't know. They're just so similar. Pole vault is next. This is another. I actually kind of like this one actually. Yeah, I like this one. I'm gonna put it in. Very nice classic. I'll just put it in front of skiing. Bernard is like playing pole vault, like trying to use the stick and then like going over the thing, and well, he does it, and then at the end I think he does it correctly or something. I can't remember how the episode ended, but it's a nice episode, that one is. Javelin throw, this is going in the best. This is going in the best. So this is the best episode so far. Bernard is playing javelin throw with Zach, and Lloyd. I think Eva was there, and then in the end they throw like these like I think they're javelins, and they like fly, and then he managed to avoid all of them. Then after that, these frisbees come by, and he avoids those. Then this blue ball with a string on it comes over, and he avoids that. But then Zach throws the tape at him, and then he knocks him out. It's just so funny in the end of it. It's definitely my favourite episode so far, and I remember this episode a lot when I was younger. From going through an episode that is one of my favourite, we go into an episode that isn't my favourite, weightlifting. Yeah, the problem with this episode is just I don't think it's that good. I think it's going to go in the not very good area. It's not like Skiing Part 2 or Pelotocart when there can at least be some positive in it. It's just one of those episodes that just has like negative in it. Like they just point out. So the way Eva is putting the weights up, it just looks so weird compared to some other episodes of Burn in the Bed that we've seen, like the gym or aerobics, like those episodes. Like with the gym episodes, Eva can't do that, but then in this episode I just can't watch this episode. It's just not my favourite, so I think it's not very good in my opinion. And the music is repeated from the swimming episode in one part of this episode. Yeah, I just don't really like this episode the greatest. Archery is one of those Burn and the Bear episodes which I think I'll put it in very nice classic, just above just above like race walking. So Bernard's playing archery with Eva, and this might be one of the first episodes of Burn and the Bear when Bernard's actually got mad at Eva. And one part of the episode that I remember is that Eva launched the stick thing or the archery, and then it went through Bernard's, and that happened in Brave. I remember seeing that in Brave because like my mum watched it. Like that's interesting, don't you think? That both Brave and Burn and the Bear feature that like type of scene. Karate is next, and Burn and the Bear is karateing with Eva, but then he's like playing karate with Eva. And then the place gets destroyed. One of my favourite parts of the episode is when Eva puts this poster up and then like Bernard knocks it down. But it's just a neutral episode. It's probably an okay episode. I'll just say it's in front of badminton. It's just okay. Paddle tennis is next. What? Wait. This episode called Paddle Tennis. Okay. So I can't remember much about this episode. I think they were playing paddle tennis or something, or was that a different episode that we'll get to? I swear this was a part of a different episode, but Bernard is playing tennis with... Oh, no! Wait. He's playing tennis with like Lloyd, Zach, or I can't remember, so I'm just gonna put it in the list, just like the neutral list. So I'll put it at the back because I can't remember anything about this episode. I remember this episode. It was just like a tennis sort of episode. I think they were like playing tennis or something, or paddle tennis. Just can't remember that much about it. Sports journalist is going in the best, like there's no doubt. And one reason I say that, it's because Eva is like being a sports journalist or something, and then Bernard and Zach try to get there, and then Lloyd won't let him in, so then he sneaks in, and then he then gets the attention by getting rid of Eva for some reason. It's actually quite weird. Race. Wait, what? Wait, why is Race walking in here twice? I didn't even notice that. Right. Motor racing. Bernard, Eva, and Lloyd Zach are like motor racing, and then Bernard tries to win, but Eva ends up winning, and Zach goes behind. But then Bernard's car wins out. And I used to actually really like this episode. I used to really like this one when I was younger. Not when I used to watch it on Netflix, but when I was like younger, or like a bit older on YouTube. Like this is going in. It's going here. Like I like this episode so much. Chess is also another episode that's going in the best. Yeah. Basically, Bernard's playing chess with like Lloyd, and then his alarm clock keeps going off, so then he throws it in the water. But then I think there's an earthquake happening, and then it just keeps like making the area shake. So then after that, Bernard, I think Bernard wins or Lloyd leaves, but then, yeah, that's the end. Very nice episode. Goalball, I've got to be honest, we're actually doing goalball at my school at the moment. We're practicing goalball at my school, but the episode itself, yeah, I've got to be honest, it's not really that very good, isn't it? I mean, never mind. I'm just gonna put it in neutral. Bernard is playing like goalball with Eva, and Eva Bernard doesn't know what he's doing, and then in the end Eva throws the ball at Bernard. Like, this episode is just so crazy. Like, I can relate to Bernard in this episode since I'm doing this at school. Basketball Part 2. Now, I've got to be honest, Basketball Part 1 was amazing, and I think the same for Basketball Part 2. Like, I can't lie, this is a really good episode. Just about in front of sports journalists. Bernard's playing basketball, and he's playing it with Eva and Zach, and then at the end he turns up the electric. What? No, I'll put it like here. Indoor football is just is an okay episode. I think it's just very nice. Bernard's playing like indoor football with, like, I think it was Zach or was it Lloyd, and then in the end, I think he pops the ball or something. Can't remember what happens in the end. Triathlon, again, another not a very good episode, ain't it? Bernard and Lloyd are like doing triathlon, and he goes into the water at first, and then goes on a bike, and then he throws Lloyd into the bike, and then I just think this is not a very good episode in my opinion, which I'm just gonna put it here for now. Yeah. High jump, so I keep getting this episode confused between pole vault, but Bernard's trying to do the high jump, and Zach is there, and then I think he does it in the end. Now, compared to pole vault, I like this episode more, so I'll put it here. It's just opposite pole vault. Dressage is just a not very good episode in my opinion. Basically, Bernard has this horse, and like, he claps. The horse won't like do listen, and then in the end he gets dragged by the horse. I'm not a massive fan of this episode by the ending, but my horse might like it. My sister might like it because it's themed to a horse. Rhythmic gymnastic. This is going in the best. This is one of my favourite episodes of the whole season. There's no doubt about it. And it's the thing with season 3. Like, they make some really good episodes. Obviously, Javelin Throw has the funny ending, and Rhythm Master has a nice episode. But Eva's doing like Rhythm Master, and Bernard wants to watch. Then he destroys someone's like thing, and then replaces it, gets his own. Which I like this part so much. It's one of my favourite episodes of the season. Like, I really like this one. Marathon Part 3 might have the most darkest, one of the scariest endings for a Bernard the Bear episode in my opinion, which actually puts this episode in not very good. So when I was younger, this episode, when I first watched it, I used to like this episode. But as I now watch it, this has actually got one of the scariest endings for any Bernard the Bear episode in my opinion. And what happens is that Bernard goes to a marathon, the Marathon Part 3, but he goes to another marathon with Lloyd, but then he finds out that it was actually at 10 AM, so he goes to 10 PM, and then in the end, he realises it, so then he tips the winning, like, thing, and then a bottle falls over, and it bursts, and then wine falls on his head, and then that's the end. This ending actually scared me a few years back. Like, this has one of the most darkest endings for any Bernard the Bear episode, and this actually puts this episode so closely in the worst. I can't lie. Like, with weightlifting, I know I said that weightlifting wasn't a good and a very nice episode, but this is just the worst. Rugby is just an okay episode. It's just that I thought this was boxing because there was like these things, the boxing like things, but then after that it's rugby. So he's playing rugby with Zach, and they're like competitive with each other, and then at the end he gets rid of Zach, but then he plays on his own. It's an okay episode in my opinion. Sprint is also thrown in the best. Like, some of these episodes are so good. So Bernard's like at this place, which I believe the place he's in takes place in some other episodes of Bernard the Bear, like Hammerball. Where's Hammerball? Like in Hammerball, you can see the Hammerball area, and it could also take place in like some of the marathon like the race walking episodes, because it looks the exact same, but he's like sprinting, and then this camera that's like looking at him, so then he tries to get away from the camera, but then when he gets away he goes into a sand pit, which I believe is the same one from the long jump, I don't know, and then in the end another camera appears. I like this episode so much, and I remember it so much on Agenda. Right, snowboarding. So this is the one that I got confused with between Slee and Sue. I would say it's okay. I think I can't tell which one's which. Like, they're just so similar that I can't tell which one's which. But this one, I believe that he was with Eva instead of Lloyd. Like, I can't remember much about both of them. These are just so similar. But yeah, that's what I have to say. I like this one. Tennis Part 2. Basically, Bernard the Bear's like this one watching, and then he's playing tennis with Lloyd and Zach, and then in the end he keeps all the balls in his pants, and then he runs away, and then all the tennis balls falls out. That's so funny. But I'd say it's just it's just like above High Jump Part 2. Hockey. So the opening of Hockey is so funny. Bernard wears like a woman's like shirt, so then he takes it off. So he's playing hockey with Lloyd, and he doesn't want Lloyd to win or something like that. Yeah, season 3 episode, I can't remember much about them, but this episode is just thrown very nice, because I find it so funny. Yeah. Funny episode this one is. Football Part 2. Yeah, Football Part 2 is thrown in the best. There's no doubt. So the episode starts off with the rememberable part of the episode. Bernard and Eva are on the same team, whereas Lloyd and Zach are on a different team, and Bernard picks up like a blue hat, and Zach has a red hat. Bernard has like a blue like glove, and Zach has a red one, and Bernard has a blue trumpet, and Zach has a red trumpet. That was my favourite part of the episode, one genre. And then it ends up turning into a part when Lloyd and Bernard are playing football against each other. One of my favourite episodes. And starting off, we have our last episode where Bernard the Bear is on a beach, desert, oasis of any Bernard the Bear episode, beach volleyball. He's playing volleyball on a beach with Zach, who is sleeping, but then when they come to rescue Zach, he stays on the desert island with no one. So this episode is thrown in very nice, but I would say it's just above table tennis. Okay, motorcycling. So Lloyd is doing motorcycling, and he comes to he needs help with his bike, so Bernard refills it. So then, he keeps doing it, and one of my favourite part of the episode is when it keeps raining, so then Bernard went to get, like, waterproof, like, tyres, but then when it stops raining, he goes to get normal tyres, but then it rains again, and he just makes me so laugh. I never understood that one on genre. Definitely the best, and there's actually quite a lot of good episodes in this season. The Olympic Stadium is another episode that's thrown in the best. Bernard, Lloyd and Zach are preparing for the Olympic Stadium sort of thing, and then Lloyd is like painting the marathon with his truck. Bernard is keeping the leaves safe, or tidying the leaves, and Zach is winding everyone up, and in the end Bernard and Zach end up painting the marathon track, and then in the end Eva ends up winning, and then that's the end. It's one of my favourite episodes, and this season has been good for good episodes, whereas this episode, artistic. is that what it's called? Artistic gymnastics. It's like on the same level as like aerobics. So he's doing like artistic gymnasts with Eva, and then in the end he gets stuck on these like loops thing. That's an interesting episode. Right? These episodes are just okay in my opinion. Tennis free. Bernard and Zach are like on the same team, whereas Eva and Lloyd are on the same team, and then in the end they end up winning, but then Bernard and Zach won't get along, so it's an okay episode. I just think this episode is just very nice. There. I know. In front of artistic gymnastics. Wheelchair basketball is another, like, neutral episode. I would just say it's just, like, it's just one of those episodes that actually, well, basically, him and Lloyd are playing basketball in wheelchairs, and then in the end, Bernard ends up crashing. Like, it's just an okay episode, and that's what I'm starting to realise about this season. Judo is another very nice episode. I'll just say it's just in front of high jump. Bernard and Zach are doing judo. And I can't remember how this episode ends, but I feel like after this I'm just going to have to look at some of these episodes again, because I just can't remember much. Race Walking 2 is another banger episode. There is one thing about this episode. So, Bernard knocks over, like, Lloyd and Zach during the race, and then that they caught it on camera, and then in the end, they don't give Bernard a medal, but then a bee lands on Bernard's nose, and I can't tell what happened. I can't tell if the bee stunned Bernard, or if Eva tried to dead it off by whacking him. It's just, yeah, it's just an okay episode. Mountain biking was another episode that I really like. Like, these episodes are just so good in this season. Bernard and Zach are trying to mountain up to the bike up to a mountain, so then Bernard ends up like crashing his bike. So then he puts his mouth inside this like fire thing and then blows it, and then he smiles, and then after that he uses air. That was one of my favourite parts of the whole episode, and it's just when he's like smiling at the thing after he blew it, I thought he was gonna turn his face to the camera and then smile more. That's what I was gonna thought was gonna happen. Yeah, Canoeing is another episode that I like. Starring in the best. Like, there are so many good episodes in this season. So Bernard is going canoeing with Zach, and they get into an argument until they go into a waterfall, and they have to try and not get to the waterfall, but then I think they go down it. I like this episode, and yeah. Alright, paragliding is just another neutral episode. It's just like, basically Bernard and Zach are trying to do like paragliding, and then in the end Bernard ends up doing it, but then he flies away. It's just an okay episode in my opinion. And now on our last 3 episodes, starting with the long jump. Definitely an episode that goes in the best. Bernard's building sandcastles, whereas everyone comes over to like jump into the sand, and then in the end, Bernard tries to stop them, but then Eva does it. It's a very good episode in my opinion. And now let's move on to our last 3 episodes, which in my opinion I would say the long jump will be our last episode that goes in the best. So Basketball 3 is the weakest of the like the basketball episodes. Bernard and Lloyd are on the same team, whereas Eva and Zach are on the same team, and this may be one of the first episodes I've seen Eva get mad at Lloyd. So it's the weakest of the basketball episodes, but I still think it's not that bad. Like, they have got some stuff that makes this episode a bit better. So I just think it's just like in front of snowboarding. It's actually like in front of like badminton. Yeah, like around here. Cycling. Bernard the Bear and Zach are doing cycling, and they both win. And they're like doing cycling marathons, and they end up competitive with each other. And I think they both end up winning, but then I think they both don't show the trophy. It's just a neutral episode. I'll just put it like here, in front of, yeah, there. And our last episode of Bernard the Bear, the last Bernard the Bear episode to exist before Back on Bear that took over is sailing. Bernard the Bear and Lloyd are going sailing, and Bernard's boat gets heavy, so then he empties some stuff, and then his boat sinks, but then he ends up on a rubber ducky, and then crabs appear. Yeah, I'm not a massive fan of the cliffhanger ending, but this actually is going to be such a shame to see an episode ending like that. But even as this is the last episode of the season, hear me out. This episode is going very nice. I know for a time I'm not a massive fan of the bit. If it weren't for some of the things in this episode that are interesting, this episode would have ended up being in the worst. And that's it. Season 3. And now I've ranked every Bernard the Bear episode in the season. I've ranked every Bernard the Bear episode ever. Now, in total, my favourite Bernard the Bear episodes are Javelin Throw, Javelin Throw is my favourite. Javelin Throw, Rhythmatic, Gymnastics, Sprint, and Football Part 2 are my favourite Bernard the Bear episodes. Like Bernard the Bear season, and then after that, the worst episode is Marathon 3. And it was so close for being weightlifting. So this is it for Bernard the Bear. Now, in conclusion, Bernard the Bear has made some good episodes. I would say Bernard the Bear is still and would always be one of my favourite shows to exist. And if there's anything that I would say is that I kind of wish that Bernard the Bear got some more luck in some episodes. Now, in conclusion, I would say season 3 is the weakest season of the 3, mainly is because there are some episodes that I can't remember much of, but I still think that Bernard the Bear has made some good episodes. They have made some episodes that I don't like, for example, like Marathon 3, A Day in the Country Part 2, Fishing, and they have also made some great episodes like Javelin Throw, the Balloon, the Amusement Park, and some other episodes that are really great. Now, in conclusion, I really like Bernard the Bear, and I hope you enjoyed this little ranking, and if you want me, I will next do Bernard the Bear movies ranked if everyone wants me to. So yeah, so thank you for watching, and bye.